Hey everybody, I just saw a movie called Ant-Man and the Wasp. You probably know what this movie is, but if you don't somehow, if you're living under a rock, Ant-Man and the Wasp is actually the 20th movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe franchise. It's the second in the series specifically about Ant-Man. It's directed by Peyton Reed, same director as the first one, and it stars the same people essentially. Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Michael Douglas, Michael Pena. All these guys, they're all back, and it's essentially the continuation of the story. It's pretty much that. It's exactly what you would expect. It kind of felt like a. It felt like another origin ish. Despite the fact that we've already had an Ant-Man movie, it felt like it was just kind of that movie again, which happens a lot in sequels. I'm not going to say that that's not a thing that sequels do. The second movie just being the first one again is a very common thing, and it's not always a bad thing. Uh, Sometimes you like that movie enough where you just want to see it again. Unfortunately, personally, I did not like Ant-Man a whole lot. I thought it was probably the worst and is the worst out of all of the Marvel movies. We can debate that all day long, and I would if you gave me the time. But maybe if not the worst, it was my least favorite. We'll say that. It was my least favorite to watch. I don't care about Ant-Man. Um, I like Paul Rudd in the as the character. I like Paul Rudd's comedy style. His timing, I think, is really good. I don't think he plays well off of Evangeline Lilly. She is not really a comedy kind of. She kind of plays a straight man to Paul Rudd, but kind of everybody in these movies plays a straight man to Paul Rudd. Um, it felt it didn't go extreme enough in any direction that it should have or could have. It could have been a lot funnier. Like Guardians of the Galaxy was a lot funnier. It could have been a lot more clever with its premise of being small and being giant. Unfortunately, most of the movie, in my recollection, was kind of weighed down by all this science talk. And by I mean science talk, I mean just jargon and stupid science talk where it's quantum this and science. I can't even tell you. None of it made sense to me, and I don't need it to make sense. But it didn't feel like what they were saying was actually real. It just felt like sciency talk to make it feel sciency. They even reference this in the movie. One of them just says, "Don't do you guys just put quantum in front of any word?" And that was kind of funny to me because it was kind of a comment on the movie, but it also was deflated by the fact that yeah, that's basically what they did. There's just science things that are happening, and we need to do this science thing to make this science thing happen, and that's okay if the rest of the movie is a little more fun or a little more like interesting and you can just ignore the science stuff because whatever. But the rest of it just, like I said, felt samey as the first one. Ant-Man gets small, Ant-Man gets big. He did that in Civil War. The villain lady was not very interesting. She kind of just went through walls. I like that she wasn't very much of a villain. She had her motivation. I thought that was set up well. Um, the real villain mostly was this black market dealer of technology that they have to go through now that they're underground because of the events of Civil War. That was okay. A lot of the movie was dedicated to finding the original Wasp lady, Michael Douglas's Michelle Pfeiffer. That's who it is. Plays Van Dyne, Janet Van Dyne, whatever. All this is to say, the movie felt bland. There wasn't much to it that kept my interest. I will admit that I fell asleep for a little bit of it. That is probably because it was a pretty busy week for me, and we went kind of in a like a spur of the moment thing. If you like Marvel movies, you'll like this. It does tie in a decent way, in like a subtle way, or just small ways and not ways that felt like it was relying on those things for it to work. That was a problem with the first Ant-Man, I thought. That scene where he goes to the Avengers place and fights Falcon. was like, hey, let's shove this in there to make sure people know, look, it's a Marvel movie, Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. They didn't do that this time, which I thought was smart. They didn't have to rely on Avengers references. It just made sense timeline wise where this was. Also, if you're very heavily concerned with the whole events of Infinity War, that's referenced in this. So if you want to know everything about that, it's not necessary to know. It might be leading into Avengers 4, but maybe. We'll see. You've probably already seen this if you like the Avengers movies. So, you know, I can't tell you not to watch it because you probably already have. And I wouldn't even tell you not to watch it. I would just tell you that it's really worth watching if you are a Marvel Cinematic Universe fan, and if you're not, it's a bland action movie with some funny one-liners. But other than that, it's really nothing interesting to me. That's basically my review of it, I guess. It's nothing interesting. It's nothing super unique, even amongst its own wheelhouse, its stable house of the MCU. It just felt like another Ant-Man movie.